weeks after college faculty walked off the job, the Liberals attempting to introduce some back-to-work legislation. However, that one struck down by the NDP, and this comes after staff voted down a contract offer by the College Employer Council. Now, the union worried that if it passed, there would be no protections against faculty. However, the council says the colleges are prepared to bring in staff and plan accordingly. So how is this day going to all play out? Joining us live right now in studio, Ontario NDP leader Andrea Horwath. Thank you for coming in.
My pleasure.
So I guess the big question is, why? What happened yesterday? Why did the NDP block the introduction of this legislation?
Well, you know what? For 5 weeks, we've been up in the legislature urging the government to take action to settle this strike, and they have sat on their hands and done nothing. Last night, they decided that they wanted to ram something through in one night and then go home for the weekend. We didn't think that that was the appropriate thing to do. We're prepared to deal with their legislation through the weekend, and the government's going to introduce that anti-worker, conservative type legislation. They will be able to get their bill passed.
There's a bit of a misconception right now as to whether or not it needs unanimous support.
Sure.
So if it needs support from your party, your position is strong in that you're going to say no regardless.
Well, when they ask to ram things through without doing the work, we're going to say no. When it comes to debating the bill, we will debate the bill. It'll go through. They're a majority government, so everybody knows that a majority government has all the power, and so they will be able to get their legislation passed, absolutely. But what we're worried about is that for weeks and weeks now, the government sat on its hands and did nothing. They wanted to ram it through and go home for the weekend. We think that the college workers, as well as the students, deserve better than that. They deserve a real look at the legislation.
So this fight far from over then?
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, we are really worried about the students and them getting their courses back online. We want them back in the classroom. That's why we've been standing up in the legislature railing against the government. It's unfortunate, that 5 weeks later, the Premier finally steps in. I mean, where was she 5 weeks ago when all this was unraveling? But we are where we are now, and we're gonna see that legislation gets dealt with. It'll be done by the end of the weekend, and hopefully we can get those students back in school.
As for a timeline, a lot of students and a lot of parents are watching. They're saying, when do the kids get back to class? So we've heard from OPSU reps saying, logistically, it just doesn't make sense for Monday, and likely it's going to be mid to late week.
Well, and I think they're going to do everything they can to expedite the return, but I guess there's planning and different things that they have to do to pull those courses together. I mean, they've been on the picket line, unfortunately, for a long time, and so as the Premier's been taking a hands-off approach, one of the things we have to remember is they've been underfunding the college system for many years now, and so a lot of what's happened is because that underfunding has come to a head. So the part-time work, the contract work of the professors and instructors, that's a big part of the discussion, and that's because we actually fund post-secondary and colleges right now at the very bottom. Like, we're the least per student funding in all of Canada here in Ontario. That's nothing to be proud of.
What is your message then?
Our message is we will not facilitate the silly games that the Liberals are trying to play, but we will do our job, and we will be in the legislature for the weekend, and the Liberal government will get their anti-worker, conservative-style legislation passed. There's no doubt about it. And
we'll be hearing from Deputy Premier Deb Matthews a little bit later on in the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And I think everyone just wants to get back to the classroom.
And we want that too.
That's it. All right. Thank you so much.